Chapter 2. Part 1. The Pirate Frequency. The static inside the hollowed-out, brutalist concrete shell of the ruined relay station didn't just hum. It chewed. It scraped against the inside of the skull like rusted wire pulled through a dental canal, a constant, abrasive reminder that the atmosphere outside the perimeter wall was still eating itself alive. Outside, the toxic, radioactive winds of the ongoing ion storm battered the rusted, skeletal frame of the tower, clawing endlessly against the cracked metal siding where a faded, peeling sign still hung by a single, rusted bolt, proudly and defiantly displaying the old corporate call sign, WNCX86. This wasn't an active corporate broadcast hub anymore. It was a gutted ghost tower, stripped down to its structural steel bones during the catastrophic cataclysm of the first ion storm and left to rot in the perpetual shadow of the purple-hued atmospheric haze. Yet, for the radical broadcast crew and members of Signal Rot, featuring dual lead vocalists Vane and Rift, bassist Sludge, drummer Anode, and their dedicated tech pirate, Glitch, this dead tower's high-gain directional array was the ultimate weapon to project their music directly through the storm and out across the entire wasteland. Inside the debris-choked, freezing broadcast room, the air tasted sharply of ozone, burnt plastic insulation, and the metallic tang of cold sweat, mixed with the stale recirculated air of 100 technicians who hadn't seen open sky that wasn't bruised purple since the first ion storm hit the planet. The members of Signal Rot moved through the shifting shadows with an eerie, synchronized intensity, their striking appearance marking them instantly as legends and outlaws across the wasteland, the men bearing the terrifying, crimson-stained skeletal look of exposed red bone, and the women gleaming with an unnatural, pulsating red neon skin that cut through the darkness like warning lights on a dead runway. At the makeshift console, Glitch worked with frantic, high-stakes precision, cobbling together a chaotic, improvised mess of salvaged microchips, raw unshielded copper wire, and a stolen military-grade bypass relay to interface with the storm-battered hardware. Every tool within arm's reach had been cobbled together from things that were never meant to be tools. A soldering iron powered by a modified geothermal heat sink hissed softly beside a jar of viscous flux made from rendered motor oil and resin, glowing under the erratic amber warning lights of the terminal. The isolation dampeners are locked against the ion feedback, Rift hissed, her pulsating red neon skin flashing brightly as a sudden, violent surge of high-voltage current coursed through her makeshift rig. If Wasteland Inc.'s core security systems trace this handshake back to the WNCX86 relay before we completely dump our packet stream into the storm, they'll trigger a grid-wide feedback loop and fry our entire setup down to the chassis. Across the littered, concrete-dusted floor, Sludge and the rest of the crew, shouldering their custom-built instruments crafted entirely from jagged, salvaged scraps of industrial ductwork, heavy vehicle parts, and scrap metal, let out a sharp, grating laugh that echoed hollowly off the reinforced walls. "Let them trace it." Vane's voice came through with a gravelly, modulated edge, his red skeletal features catching the amber warning pulse of the terminal lights as the ion storm outside roared louder, rattling the corrugated iron panels. "We didn't drag these pieces out of the radioactive scrap heaps just to let some server farm suits dictate who gets to hear the noise. Get the broadcast deck warmed up. We're hijacking their main feed to blast this music across the entire wasteland right through the eye of the storm." In the far corner of the ruined room, Anode adjusted the scavenged percussion setup, while another member readied a specialized black wooden violin deeply carved with glowing runes that pulsed in sync with the low, sub-audible thrum of the tower's dying auxiliary generator. With a slow, deliberate motion, the bow was drawn across the rough-hewn strings, sending a sharp, high-frequency screech through the monitors that cut straight through the howling wind outside, making the teeth ache and the air vibrate with raw voltage. "The frequencies are clean," Glitch murmured through the static-laced comms link, cutting through the ambient roar of the storm. "WNCX86 is hot. Punch the override." With a heavy, satisfying mechanical clack of a salvaged dashboard switch, the main signal relay engaged. The dead tower surged to life, drawing desperate auxiliary power from a sputtering geothermal tap buried deep beneath the rubble. Across the wasteland, every receiver tuned to the corporate frequency would suddenly find their standard loop violently interrupted, replaced by the rising, chaotic, and unmistakable pulse of Signal Rot broadcasting their music straight through the ion storm to tear down Wasteland Inc.'s digital monopoly.